Hey, Tony Gaskins here. Thank you for stopping by. Now, the other day I posted a video for the parents. I think it was on Saturday. So if you missed that, make sure you go see that because there's a lot going on out here. And for those of us raising little folks, we need to stay on top of it. And thank you to all of those who took advantage of the Father's Day blessing that we had on TonyGaskinsAcademy.com. And make sure you jot that down. I just added a new course called Streams of Income, where we're going into this recession. You see a lot changing. And it's so much that I see a lot of times I see people with a gift and just not using it. And so I made that Streams of Income course just to help get your mind going, give you some ideas and show you how you can take and start earning money from home on your own, outside of your job, or even if you already have your business, how you can expand that and do a little more just to help you and your family out in these times that we're getting ready to walk through. But want to pop on here and talk to you because we got a lot going on, and I'm seeing a lot of people chiming in on relationships. It's so funny to me how I wrote my book on love and relationships at 22 years old and got stuck in that lane because people needed it, and a lot of people had questions, and people started hiring me for coaching, and I kind of got stuck in it reluctantly. Did not want to be in there because it's kind of hard talking about love and relationships when you working on your own love and relationships. And a lot of times what you end up talking about online is where you struggle at the most. So here I am trying to work through my own stuff and learn and grow as a man and break generational curses and do all of this, but at the same time end up having to help others. And I'm still getting a lot of messages, going through them. For those of you who subscribed on my Instagram, I'm going through your DMs and answering your relationship questions. It seems like that's 90% of the questions I get. But right now, we still got this going on in our society where it's going to get worse before it gets better. Going to get worse before it gets better. And it's a lot of spiritual warfare. And so what's happening in the single world is being mirrored in a sense in the relationships, in the married world. And there's this war between men and women. And what I mean by that is if you start to look and pay attention, what you're going to see is men and women are starting to resent each other. The woman wants to be independent, even married women. I was thinking today and I said, it's kind of becoming like a single wives club. A lot of married women want to be independent. And there's this push out there that says, hey, as a woman, you got to have your own, you got to have your own money, you got to have your own job. And I get that. And the reason why I get it is because of the other side. The other side, you have men who we could take and utilize, we can take and abuse the earning potential that we have and create a prison for our woman and talk down to her and do a lot of talking about the money, and I make this and I spend this and I buy this and I do this, and you ain't making no money and you ain't paying these bills, and as long as I got to pay these bills, you gonna listen to me or this and that. And so now we go into this space of financial upheaval. And when you in that space, of course, that's gonna make women want to be liberated. And so this right here, what we got going on, where it's going back and forth. It's going back and forth, and there's this wedge being driven between men and women, and you got to think about this. And as you look at it, you got to identify within yourself and ask yourself, okay, where is this within me? Is this happening within me? And what can I do about it? Am I trying to, and actually, I was talking to my wife about it, and just how so many married women, not showing their husband, not posting about their husband in their story, not posting about their husband on their page. And I'm like, are they trying to entertain an ex, or is it just trying to look like you single? And then you see a lot of men not posting about their woman, never posting their wife. And it's like, is that to attract women and to look single? And so that's happening over there. And then when you look at the singles, and we'll start with the singles and we'll get back on the couples. But when you look at the singles right now, it's looking rough, because the men today, a lot of men today are looking for a woman that does not exist. A lot of men today are looking for the wrong things. And there's a lot going on in our world, even from young ages, to where what I'm noticing is that Sodom and Gomorrah spirit. It's a lot of men who are getting into relationships, but they like men. And so that's making them choose differently. They just picking anybody. They picking a woman who is the least likely to be picked. They just picking a woman, and the woman is like a cover up. And what a lot of men not understanding is there's this femininity that's being sent out amongst men. And fortunately, I'm married, so it doesn't affect me the same way because I'm not on the market. But like, I put on some pants today, and the thing for men today is to wear tight pants. You wearing tight, like our pants are form fitting. Also wearing the pants high water, bought like some capris. Y'all remember capris? So now, and I'm in there too, but I'm married. But what I'm noticing with these men is men, and the Bible say it now, the Bible say men will become lovers of themselves. And men are becoming conceited, men becoming arrogant. And so it's all about money. When you look online, the only thing you see men talking about is money. How to get money. How to get money. Now, for me, a lot of my audience is women. So my streams of income, of course, it'd probably be more women take it than men. But when you look online, you just see a lot of men talking about investing in crypto, investing in the stock market, investing in real estate, selling cards, flipping cars, just money. You really don't see a whole lot about character development. You don't see a lot about integrity. You don't see a lot about that. And so that is men becoming lovers of ourselves. And what happens is it affects the way men date. And so now a man is going onto the dating market and he's looking down on a woman. He's overly judging a woman. He's looking for this woman to be superwoman, to be everything he's missing and lacking in life, and asking of her more than you would ask of a human, but then treating her less than that, what he's asking of her. And so that's what's happening from the male side of it. And I know the guys who bumping this, they watch, it's an old man bashing channel. No, we just going in order. I'm a man. So I'm speaking on man. I'm going to talk about what I see going on with the women too. Now see me, I'm on the outside. I'm like Phil Jackson. And yeah, I ain't finna say no raggedy coach. I'm finna say one of the greatest to ever do it. I'm like Phil Jackson because I'm on the side. I'm running triangle offense, and I'm sitting here and I'm looking and I'm analyzing and evaluating and calling plays, and this is what I'm seeing because I'm at the game. So I could look unbiasedly because I'm not single. And what I'm noticing is men just want something unrealistic. And then what's happening is a lot of men with a voice are single, or they're not showing a woman. And so they appear to be single. So when you see, and there may be deep down in there, but think about the man-led podcast, the men who have a podcast. And maybe 3 or 5 of them that you may have listened to. How often do they talk about their girlfriend or their wife? Do they have a girlfriend or wife? And do they show her? So what's happening is when you see so many men with a voice and they're single and they appear happy, it sends a message to men that say, listen, be single. You don't need a woman. Be single, be productive, be successful, and you're going to be happy. But dating is not necessary, or a relationship is not necessary. Marriage is not necessary. And I think it should never be forced. It should never be rushed, and everybody should do things in their own time. But it's one of these things, what I'm seeing happen with men is the more success a man gets, the less he wants a woman. And the reason being is because the more successful a man gets, the more women are going to shoot their shot, come on to him, show him attention. So now it creates this analysis paralysis to where now the man really is super afraid to pull the trigger because he doesn't know. It's hard to tell. And we don't realize a lot of times as men or as humans that you're never going to find the perfect person. You never going, like, you literally gonna be married and not like a lot about the person. That's when you study marriages like I have, but you don't have to be a professional. You could just look at your friends and family members. When you really get to know them, it's a lot that you're not gonna like, and the reason being, and there's nothing wrong with that because we're human. So as humans, it's a lot you don't like about your best friend. It's a lot you don't like about your mama. It's a lot you don't like about your daddy. Like, as humans, we're going to point the finger and find fault. And so that's what's happening with a lot of singles today. Is a lot of singles is wanting this fairy tale and just thinking that, oh, I got to get along with this person like beans and rice, like peanut butter and jelly. No, a lot of times you're going to be like oil and water. And we don't realize that because love is not found. Love is created. And the reason why Corinthians 13, chapter 13, reads the way it does, which I don't believe is talking about romantic love between a husband and wife, but it can still be applied, but you really don't want to apply it all the way in a romantic situation because a lot of people will interpret that it's saying all forms of abuse is okay. So that's why I look at Corinthians 13 as God's love for us because we not sleeping with God. So, but we dogging God out. Like, we sinning every day, willing sin, we disrespectful, we take God for granted, we treat God like a genie in the bottle, we thank God an ATM machine, we ask for more from God than showing gratitude. And I believe that's what Corinthians 13 is really talking about. The love that God has for us. And we could have that love for our neighbor, for our friends and family. But we should never interpret that love as abuse being okay in a relationship. But when you read it like that, it kind of sounds like that's what it's saying. And it could be because back in the day, some of that in the Bible time, some of that could have been okay. A woman cheated on her husband, she gets stoned to death. Women probably was being beat on and all kind of stuff. So when it was written, it could have very well applied to a relationship too. But today, people will take that out of context. It's real dangerous. But that's what love is in the sense of we have to understand that love is created. Love is not easy. Love is not found. Love is not a fairy tale. Love loving someone can hurt you, but love itself does not hurt you. And there's a very fine line, and it's hard to understand sometimes. Loving someone can hurt you, but love itself does not hurt you. So if someone is loving you, it's not going to hurt. But if someone is not loving you and they're operating selfishly and they're operating from self-hate, that's going to hurt you. But you loving them is hurting you because they're hurting you. So understand that fine line. And a lot of people don't understand that. So we say love is pain and we say love hurts. And we misinterpret it and we use it as this blanket statement. And that could be dangerous. And so you have to understand the nuances of love. And what's happening is, I'm noticing a lot of men are looking for a perfect woman. Looking for this woman who's going to fit just like a puzzle piece. And I've used that analogy before, and now I'm realizing how that can be taken out of context, because a relationship may not fit just like a puzzle. They will have strengths maybe where you are weak, and they may have weaknesses where you are strong, but that still doesn't mean everything is going to fit perfectly. And you're going to have a difference of opinion every day. You're like, me and my wife see everything completely opposite, except for the foundational things. And that's what matters most. But if we talking about cooking, if we talking about sports, if we talking about laundry, if we talking about drawing, we talking about building a business, planning a party, going on a trip, we completely opposite. We totally opposite. But the foundation, we believe the same way about God. We believe the same way about politics. We believe the same way about raising our kids. We believe the same way about spending money. And so the foundational things, that's where we are in sync. But what I'm noticing is in relationships is today is people are looking for someone who's going to be just like them in their nuances. So people are passing up relationships because they have a disagreement every day about what to eat, how to work out. The way I would work out and the way I would do my meal plan is totally different than the way my wife does it. And we just have to agree to disagree, and me say, listen, I'm going to do what's best for my body. You do what's best for your body. We'll see the results. And just be okay with that. But a lot of people today, and I remember reading an email from a lady, and she was saying, she had her list and it said, he must like classical music. And that just was like a microcosm for me. It was like the micro to the macro of relationships today. And it showed me that, wow, this person is not alone. She may be one of a million people who think just like this, who have some quirky requirement. And a lot of times we don't think about it, but it could be like, oh, he has to have a perfect smile, or she has to have a perfect smile. I remember coaching a guy and did some matchmaking for him when I used to do matchmaking for my clients. And he literally said he didn't want this woman because she had a black line down her thumbnail, like just going down it like this right here. And I was like, you mean like a jam thumb or something? And he was like, yeah, I guess. I don't know what it was, but it was a black line. I was like, huh? I said, what else wrong with nothing? Nothing else went wrong with him. I said, so you gonna pass up on her because she got a black line going down her thumb? He said, yeah, I need a 10. I'm waiting on a 10. I done said, now, to his defense, he was a virgin. He was a virgin and he made 6 figures and, high profile industry he was in, professional athlete. And so he was saying, hey, I'm a catch. I'm not gonna settle. But what I was thinking to myself is like, okay, well, you could marry a woman and then she jam her finger and that line don't leave. Then what you gonna do? You could marry a woman and she get an injury. It's a scar in her face. Then what you gonna do? So it's like it has to be deeper than the physical and the things that in the grand scheme of things don't really matter. And that's what's happening today is we're becoming so nitpicky and social media is telling us lies. So on the other side, when I look at the women, it's a lot of good men. Like it's good men. And I don't want to say a lot, like it's just all everywhere. But it's good men. But most of the time, a good man is going to have a quirk about him. Just like a good woman is going to have a quirk about her. We have to beware. You got to beware of the people who look perfect. Meaning everything going for them. Height, weight, looks, money, career, business, whatever, family. That's where you got to kind of, let me see what's going on. So a lot of men going to have a quirk about them. And that quirk may be he's under 6 feet tall. That's the number one. Then I see men who are 6 foot or taller, but their money is not there yet. They're not at the 6 figure, meaning $100,000 a year. They're not there yet. And some men, it may be their body. Might have a little midsection, a little more weight on them. You know, might be a little overweight and need to get them a meal plan, get them a workout plan, you know, something like that. So it's these things to where singles today are wanting someone to come to them ready packaged, fully packaged. And that's not the case. It's not going to be like that. Like 15 years in a marriage, I'm still growing as a man. I'm growing as a leader, as a communicator. I'm still working on my mind. I'm still overcoming trust issues and insecurity issues 15 years in. And so from the outside looking in, you may look at my wife online and see her glow and see her happy and smiling and assume that everything is perfect and I'm all perfect, and not realize I'm still working and learning and growing 15 years in. But singles are looking at highlight reels. And what I try to tell people, the brighter and the better that reel is, the worse the behind the scenes is a lot of times. And that's going to be every case. And there's going to be some pure happiness out there. And I feel like me and my wife have pure happiness, but we also go through tough times and just communication and mood swings and just life changes, dealing with family outside of our household and things of that nature. All of that put pressure on a relationship. Dealing with friends and stuff, all that put pressure on a relationship. And so singles are seeing this couple over here who they do reels, and the reels getting millions of views. They're seeing this couple over here, they do TikToks. This couple over here, they go on tour together. This couple over here has a podcast. This couple over here, they travel the world together. They take great photos. And when you look at the reels and the TikToks and you see the smiles and you see the laughs, you cannot fathom them getting into a physical altercation. But 9 out of 10 times, that's what's happening behind closed doors. You cannot fathom that man cheating on that woman or that woman cheating on that man. But a lot of times, that's 9 out of 10 times, they go through something. We all go through something. And it's just different from one couple to the next. But every couple going through something that if you knew about it, you would not idolize them, you would not respect that man, or you would not respect that woman, or you would just, it's not that you wouldn't respect them, you would realize they're human. You'll take them off a pedestal. You'll stop looking for someone who reminds you of their someone. And you wouldn't even factor them into your decision making, your relationships, and what you're looking for. And if I had $1 for every time I read, Tony, if I could find a man like you, and it's like, listen, you don't know me. You don't know me. You don't know me. I was a handful. I'm still a handful. So it's like you looking at the online persona, but you don't know who I am as a person because all you know is what I tell you. So that's dangerous to read my quotes and read my book and to look at me online and then let that become a barometer for your dating life. That's very dangerous to put a human in that place because you don't know the dark days. You don't know the behind the scenes. And I'm not saying that the behind the scenes are bad, but what I'm saying is you don't have a clue what they are. So whether they're good or bad, you don't have a clue. And I'm not just going to come on here and say, oh yeah, yesterday this right here happened. And yesterday this right there happened, because I'm going to treat my relationship like a house. And when I'm speaking for me, but what I'm saying, this is almost every couple you see online. They're not going to come on there and the woman say, oh, my man jacked me up yesterday. But they finna record that podcast because that's how they take care of their kids. That's how they keep their lights on. That's how they paying their mortgage off their podcast, off their reels, off them TikTok, off them book sales, off that tour, off that this or that. So rain, sleet, or snow, they gotta show up and do that work. And so you're not gonna know. And so what I'm seeing is men and women alike in the single department are looking for someone that does not exist. Someone that God ain't created. God ain't made that person. Listen, if you want to be in a relationship, you got to get you some Excedrin. Excedrin, send me a check. Because you're dealing with a human. They're going to get on your nerves. They're going to have little quirks. They're going to do stuff. They're going to say stuff. As long as it's not abusive. I ain't saying deal with abuse, but what I'm saying, you're going to deal with a lot of personality differences, a lot of difference in thought that's going to drive you crazy. It's going to upset you to no end, and you got to realize this is a human just like me. If this person isn't cheating on you, this person ain't putting hands on you, and this person ain't ripping you to shreds with their words, then everything else going to be normal. It's going to be fair game, meaning all they crazy ideas, all they personality, all they mood swings, all they choices and decisions, all that is going to still get under your skin. And so you have to understand, like, okay, do I want to do this thing called life with another human? Or do I want to be single, live my purpose, and serve God? And you got to make that choice. You got to understand that. And you have to be able to weigh these things that you don't like about the person you meet, the person you're dating, the person you're with. And you got to ask yourself, is this a deal breaker? Is this a deal breaker? And if the answer is no, so like, yeah, cheating is a deal breaker. Verbal abuse is a deal breaker. Physical is a deal breaker. Leaving the toilet seat up is not a deal breaker. Eating too much is not a deal breaker. Driving a certain way, not a deal breaker. Dressing a certain way, not a deal breaker. So you got to understand, thinking a certain way, having a certain opinion, voicing an opinion is not a deal breaker. So you got to understand these things and stop looking at couples online and desiring that highlight reel and comparing a highlight reel to your behind the scenes. And so what we have right now is a separation movement. It's an independence thing of women, which what women have to understand is that there's a difference between independent and interdependent. Independent is you stand alone. You don't need nothing or nobody. Interdependent is a form of independence, but you allow people to help you and operate in their strengths and their gifting in your life. So interdependent for a woman means that you can let a man be a man. So if your man is stronger than you physically, let him carry the heavy box out of the store and put it in the car and put it in the house instead of you being with him and you carrying the heavy box. If his industry can out earn you and he can out earn you, and one of y'all need to be with the kids and you technically better with the kids, then let him earn and you take the back seat in the sense of working from home or changing the business model, doing something different instead of competing with him for earnings. Now, if your industry earns more and he can do a good enough job with the kids, then he takes the back seat in the sense of changing the way he earns money. Because we all can earn money from home if we really want to. You just got to be a little ingenuitive and you think outside of the box and innovate a little bit. But we all can earn money from home if we need to be home with the kids. So we're getting away from interdependence and we're just focusing on independence and where we don't need each other. So now everything is blurring the lines. And there's just this movement on both sides of we don't need the other side. And that is a work of the adversary. Because think about it. If you at odds with each other, if you're against each other, if you're unwilling to be interdependent, then you can't come together and be happy, whole, and healthy and raise kids in a happy, whole, and healthy environment. You can't do it because you're at odds. The woman is trying to declare independence. The man is trying to declare independence, and neither want to give credit to the other for what they are doing, for who they are, and for what they bring to the table. Because the one doesn't want to look like they need or they are indebted to or they owe or whatever to the other half. And that is selfishness. It is greed. It is self-hate. It is low self-image, low self-esteem. It's insecurity. And that's what we're being fed with. So when you go on social media, you see this man, you see all these men who are successful and you don't see a woman. And then you see a lot of women who are successful and you don't see a man. Or you see all of these successful women and they all preaching boss babe, boss babe, boss babe. And then people forget that credit cards are a thing. And a lot of times people don't understand how money spends. So a lot of times a woman can go online and she can see this woman who has an online boutique. But if you've never had a business, you don't understand that stuff don't sell all the time. Stuff don't sell every day. So, and when it do sell, it's selling minimally. And then when you do a sale for the holidays and Black Friday, that's where you're going to make the most of your money. But on a normal day, it's not just like making $1 million. It's not even making $10,000. It might not even make $1,000. And so when you go and you see this woman online and she got this fabulous lifestyle, a woman will take and compare herself to her and say, oh, I'm not no boss babe. I ain't no boss. I ain't got nothing going. I ain't making no money. Then you look down on yourself, so then you want to go get you some money. But it may be getting money at the expense of having love in a relationship that you can cultivate and build. And not to say that you can't make money and have a relationship, but when you don't understand business like that, or that's not just what you do, then you may choose one over the other, or one may negatively impact the other. And that's why now you see this narrative of men saying they don't want a boss babe. They don't want the boss B. They don't want the woman who prides herself on her business. And that is insecurity in the man as well, and it's insecurity in the woman. The woman thinks she got to wear her business on her forehead because she feels less than other women who wearing their business on their forehead. And then the man feel like he can't be a man and be the head of a household if he has a woman who makes a lot of money in business. So that puts the two at odds. You see what I'm saying? But both are operating from insecurity. So a confident woman can do business, make great money, and she doesn't have to wear it on her forehead. It's what she does. It's not who she is. And then a confident man can do well in business and not let it define him and make it feel like he owns a woman. And he also doesn't have to be insecure or jealous of a woman who earns and who could possibly out-earn him. But then he can understand, like, okay, she's in an industry that the cosmetics or the fashion industry may always out-earn the auto detailing industry or even the podcast industry. So while the man may make 6 figures or 7 figures, the woman may get into an industry where she makes more 6 figures or 7 figures. And the men today are becoming intimidated and insecure about a woman who's earning. So they don't want to have no parts of it. They'd rather get a woman who broke, busted, and disgusted so they could feel ownership and control over that woman who don't have anything going for herself and don't believe in herself, and she don't mind just being taken care of, and she don't mind not doing nothing for the rest of her life. It ain't even about a season of raising kids. It's about she just don't care. She just want her a man that's going to provide. And so that man gets that, but because he's operating out of insecurity, he abuses that power, that position. And this was happening. So then the woman who got money, or she doing good, when I say money, it's relative. In Alabama, Mississippi, money might be $50,000. In Los Angeles or New York City, money might be $250,000 or whatever. And so it's relative to where you live at. So then the woman who got money, she say, well, these alpha male type, quote unquote, men, what they calling themselves, don't want me. So let me get this man over here who he gonna be a warm body. He just gonna be there. He gonna be a support system. But then she ends up not respecting his confidence. So he's not trying to control her. He's not trying to suppress her. But because of the way of the world, the bad boy has always been desired. The arrogant man who gonna talk to a woman like trash from time to time, he's always been desired. He's always been seen as the tough guy, as masculine. So now the man who is completely respectful, what these black women who are divesting think a white man is. And when I talked to the white man, I never posted it. I just didn't get, I just didn't take the time to upload it. But we had a good about 2-hour talk to a white man who he married with kids. He said the type of white man that would be with a black woman is a man who want to be dominated. Now, this came out his mouth. I was like, oh, okay. But that's oftentimes what it looks like. When we look at it, we don't really see this man who we see as masculine and like self-assured or confident, although he actually is. But we in our world don't know what confidence looks like, because the men who are the most afraid, the men who are the most immature, the men who are the weakest are the men who have the loudest mouth, the most bravado, and they are overcompensating for their weakness and insecurity. And so a lot of times those men are the leaders of society. Those are your rappers. It might be a lot of your vocal pro athletes. It might be your politicians. It might be these men who they're so loud and they're so noticeable and they're so seen and they're out there and they're making money and they're making noise, they're making waves. And it's really because they're operating from their insecurity. Whereas the man who is actually confident and strong, he may be the quietest one in the room, but we look at him as a soft man, a weak man, a simp, when he is more dangerous than the man that you hear the most from and you see the most and that looks the toughest. It's the one that you don't suspect or expect who will surprise you. So that's what happens. So this woman who making money, she'll get this man who seems docile. He seems weak. And online, she'll say he's sweet. She'll tell everybody he's sweet. But she may start to emasculate him because she makes more money than him. So she would joke with her friends and joke in front of him. Oh, I wear the pants over here. Honey, I wear the pants over here. I call the shots over here. Honey, I'm the breadwinner over here. She'll make little jokes like that. So now this good guy becomes a bad guy. So now he's sleeping with Bumblebee Triple X. He's siphoning off money from the account. He doing what he do. He eventually now may turn into a monster and may have her in a prison. 5 years later, 5 years into the marriage, he may be completely toxic. But because she has painted this perfect picture of being a successful woman and having a supportive man, she can't change that, because now she's a politician or she's a CEO of a company, her own company or somebody else's company, or she's a social media influencer. So now she gotta save face and pretend that this supportive man is still being supportive and quiet confidence, when he may be done changed because she changed. And sometimes it'll be the other way around. And so this what's happening in our relationships, and this what's costing us, is because of social media, we are now being brainwashed and we're operating from a place of insecurity, self-hate, low self-esteem, and we forget the quote that says comparison is the thief of joy. And all we do is compare. And when we compare, all we can compare is our real life to somebody else's highlight reel. And that's destroying us. So, and then if you in a relationship, you also have to be mindful of this separation, of this war. Now, there was a lot of damage being done, and it was going to get worse from the gentleman who passed away. And I feel bad. I'm getting chills right now just talking about this, because I did a video. And in that video, I said to him and other men, y'all going to have to answer to God, because God is for healthy unions. God is for the advancement of the human race. God is for marriage. Bible says better to marry than to burn, meaning that if you can't live celibate, then you need to get in a relationship and get married instead of being in fornication, because eventually fornication could lead to conceiving a child, then you bringing a child into a broken relationship, which is not advantageous to the advancement of the human race. So God is for things being done decent and in order. So if you are a voice and you are upending the goal and the vision of God, you are going to be sat down. In whatever way that may be, you will not make it out. You won't cross that finish line because it is upending God's work, and God will not be mocked. So if your message is a message that condones fornication, you're going to be sat down. If your message is a message that says marriage is outdated, marriage is not necessary, you could be in a relationship, be having sex, have kids, and not get married, you're going to be sat down. You're going to be sat down because in the end, God wins. And when you look at the good book, you look at that text, you're going to see that it's true. The devil always going to have a run. The devil always going to have a run. The devil always going to have people working for him. But in the end, God wins. And so it was a lot of damage being done. Now there is not a direct replacement of the gentleman who passed away. There's not a replacement on his level. Because when the adversary raised somebody up, he's going to make sure that the person is articulate, that the person looks the part. When we watch the movies in church as kids and we learn about the Antichrist, they always showed you that the Antichrist is going to be handsome or beautiful, well-spoken, well-dressed, got to look believable to build a following. So when you see these other guys that just, they might not know how to dress, they might not look right, look like somebody stepped on their face, they're not going to be able to really get a whole following behind them because it looked like somebody stepped on them. And that ain't their fault. And they might be mad about that. And so that's why they talking so much. And the men who they fall outside of the programming of the world that tells you this skin complexion is acceptable. This nose, these eyes, these lips, these ears, this height, this accent, this articulation. That it's going to be a lot of men that fall outside of those things. And so they could be online talking and sounding crazy, but they're not going to really amass a real following that's going to take them serious because people kind of just look at them like a clown in the circus. But if you well-spoken, you articulate, you got you some statistics, you sound like you know what you're talking about, and 80% of what you say is true, but that 20% will kill you. And that's what people didn't realize with the brother who passed away is 80% of what he said was true, but that 20% will kill you. That 20% completely all the way against God's plan. And I did that video because I felt it in the spiritual realm. I felt it in the spirit. And even with the brother who married, and see what these brothers doing is, I don't know the technical definition of pinup doll, but what these brothers doing is they also sending a message. It's certain men that they marrying women who are fantasies. They marrying women from the music industry or the movie industry or the television industry. And these women may not be a fit for them, but they marrying them because they thinking about career advancement and they're thinking about career longevity. Whereas for me personally, if I was a single man, I would choose my wife like the way I chose my wife. My wife was working in the middle of the mall. The middle of the mall is looked down upon. My wife was in the middle of the mall with a smile selling jewelry. That jewelry be cheap. It be raggedy a lot of times. It's not. Now, K's and Zell's the same company. They jewelry be bad too. But it ain't no Tiffany's. But what that said to me about my wife being in the middle of that mall, now for one, we was real young. She was 19. It said humility. Because the hot girl summer, they not finna work no job. They want to use their booty and their beauty to get money from dope boys. They gonna bust it wide open to get money. My wife was working 40 hours a week. That was sexy and attractive. If I was, and even when I get the money to build out my company, you know what I'm doing? I'm finna steal McDonald's employees. That young lady that is humble enough to put on that ugly outfit that McDonald's give you, standing there, slip and slide on them greasy floors, smell them fries in that grease, smell them old steroid hamburger patties, deal with all kind of people. That woman is humble. She humble and she hungry. See, these boys looking for Miss Press. They looking for they looking for the women who would never get their hands dirty. Now, a woman could become Miss Press, but she started at a fast food restaurant or a service industry was a humbling job, and she grew into an executive. But these boys looking for a woman who always have been spoiled, who always have gotten money from the dope boys, and then got money from either stripping or got money from a man who she married and had money, so she got alimony or severance pay or child support. And these boys looking for that type of woman. They want women who the world or people been eating out their hand. And it's sending the wrong message to young men. It's telling them you need this trophy woman with the perfect thighs, with the perfect booty, or with this 6 or 7 figure business or job. And that's not realistic. That everybody not gonna have that. Even for the ones that it works out, they showcasing their relationship, but they not saying, listen, we're an exception to the rule. And I tell people all the time, me and my wife, you read a woman's influence, and read Make It Work. We're an exception to the rule. So that's why I don't condone fornication. Me and my wife was in fornication and we made it, but I know we're an exception to the rule. You do everything the same way we did it, you're not gonna make it. You're not gonna make it. You got to do it the right way. Everybody ain't gonna be an exception to the rule. And God allowed me to be an exception to the rule because of the work he was going to commission me to do. So because of the work that I'm doing, I was graced to be an exception to the rule. Everybody not going to get online and have over 3 million followers online listening to their relationship advice. That's not going to be the case for everybody. That's going to be a handful of people. So if you go and try to say, oh, well, Tony, you did this, you did that. Okay, do it. You're going to be sad. You're going to be butthurt, especially because you chose to do it the wrong way. It's different if you get into it and some stuff happens, out of your control, so, things, you go through trials and tribulations, and then God bring you through it, and then you turn your mess into your message. Your pain births your purpose. That's different. But if you choose fornication, you choose idolatry, idolizing people online, you choose superficiality to where you want a trophy husband or a trophy wife, you want to look like y'all just stepped out of a magazine. If you choose that, you more likely to suffer than to succeed. And that's what I'm here to tell you. To be honest with you, you really want to find the gold. And see, the thing about it, what people don't realize about gold is dirty. Gold is dirty. Gold is not clean and polished, and because you find gold in the dirt. And that's what people don't understand. People is gold digging, but they looking for somebody who already completely polished. No, the person that you find is going to need some polishing. A diamond is ugly when it come out the ground. What come out the ground and what end up on your jewelry is two totally different things. And we're not understanding that. You got to be willing to go through the fire with somebody. You got to be willing to be refined with somebody. You got to be willing to clean each other up, to hold each other accountable, to keep each other in check. And that's what's going to polish you and have you shining. But see, singles today is looking for somebody perfect. And then couples are looking for somebody who basically sin different than their partner. And just like what I tell my wife all the time, I say, listen, any man you be with, or any woman we be with, that I be with, we're going to have the same headaches. It's just going to be a different type of struggle. So you got to pick your struggle, because ain't nothing going to be peaches and cream. And so sometimes, you'll look at this white man, and his wife ain't got no budget. She could plan whatever party she want to plan, spend all the money she want to spend, do whatever she want to do. But guess what? That man sleeping with a transvestite. That man watch pornography every time he alone. He watching nasty movies. That man paying men to put on bras and all kind of stuff. So it's like, okay, do you want a man who gonna say, listen, we can't afford that. We not finna spend that. We on this here budget. We finna holler at Dave, see what Dave butt talking about with these envelopes and this safety net. And yes, it's embarrassing pulling out this envelope and pulling out this cash. And yes, this is a lot of headache with all these folders around here. Do you want that man who gonna be faithful to you, but he frugal? Or you want the man who he willy-nilly, but you don't know what he got going on? Because ain't no man or woman gonna be perfect. And the same thing with a woman. Guys want these women that's gonna swallow and gargle and swing from chandeliers. That same woman will be sitting on, and I'm not talking about a woman who you grow with to where she grow into that. A lot of men want a woman to be a freak out the gate. And that's a mistake. Because if she a freak out the gate, that means she done been freaked. And so if she don't know how to take her time and ration it out and grow with you and build with you, and she in there week one, all of that right there, mess around and go through your slump financially. She finna be hopping on Tom, Dick, and Harry. And it might be Harry. And all of it. Why? Because you got you a woman who didn't have character or class to begin with, and you didn't realize that that woman who was kind of prudish, that woman who is a little reserved in the bedroom, that woman who don't want to wear all kind of crazy clothes, that also is because of her personality and her character. That she got to feel safe with you. She got to feel comfortable with you. She got to feel all the way there with you. So when you asking for this, all of this right here come with that. So that's why all these rappers and stuff, they always making these songs about women ain't nothing and women trash. It's because they're choosing trashy women. Because they want a woman that's going to suck and swallow on the first night. That's going to be a trashy woman. So now, and then they wife her up. And then when she cheat on them, now they want to make a song about it. You chose that. A woman who doing all that with you on night one, what did you expect? So then they want to spread the narrative that women cheat as much as men, women trash, women this and that. No, who you chose trash because your life was trash, meaning that you was living in a trash can because you on lean, you on weed, you on pills, you on porn, you on the strip club. You were living so filthy, you chose filth. Because the woman who was clean and classy and respectable, she moved too slow for you. She too prudish for you. She's a lame. She's a square. You want to get nasty. So guess what? She did you nasty. So now you looking up and you like, oh, how did it happen? Well, that's what you chose. You plucked her off a pole. You plucked her off the rank, the set traffic.